Welcome to the Mack Talks, everybody. I am your host, Scott Johnson. That is your co-host, Chase Hutchison.
Good morning, everybody.
Chase, do us a favor. Tell our audience and our guest what our program is all about.
So, as always, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or impactful leader, the Mack Talks are the vehicle that bring you the stories that you need to hear.
Yep, that's what we do. Chaseiford, why don't you go ahead and intro our guest? We got a great guest today. We're super excited to have her on. We're going to get some insight to where we can do our jobs better.
Yep.
So why don't you go ahead and intro her?
All right, so today we have Leslie Mays on the podcast. Leslie is a nightline reporter for NBC Connecticut. She has worked in production for various news outlets, including Time Warner News and New York One, has covered both Barack Obama and Hilary Clinton's election cycles in 2008, and is now in front of the camera every weeknight at 11 p.m. Leslie, welcome to the Mack Talks.
Thank you
Thanks
for having
coming.
me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do a podcast. It's very different from
From
television.
what you're used to doing, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. So we kind of just jump right in and discuss kind of, you know, how you got to where you were and stuff like that. I know you're from the South, correct?
I'm from DC, so south of
somewhat
here.
South. Yeah, I'm from Delaware too, so it's like that's just it's like almost south. Well, they have Scrapple, right? They have Scrapple in DC.
They have Scrapple. It's not a big thing. That's more like my grandma. She's from South Carolina, and that's how I knew about Scrapple. But there are some people. I think it's like,
I didn't even know about Scrapple.
I tell everybody about Scrapple just because it runs wild in Delaware. It's like you got the Scrapple Apple Festival, which the only reason why they have that festival is because of the fact that it rhymes. That's it. Scrapples and apples. That's the only reason why you would have it.
Weird combo.
Yeah.
Most people use the Mason-Dixon line to tell what's South. Right. Scott uses if you know what Scrapple is.
Yeah, that's what I generally do. So you grew up in Washington. Were you into politics a lot, or were you into just being, like wanting to interview people? Or?
I think yes and no. Like, I think if you grow up in DC, you can't help but be surrounded by government on some level. Everybody there has some connection to the government. Everybody's parents are government employees, whether it's like as some sort of political staffer or whether it's just like you work in the kitchen at the Capitol or something. But everybody has a connection to the government. And government in school was like a big thing, I think, more than other places, just because it's right there and you kind of have to know. But I don't necessarily think I ever had an interest in politics, but I was always very curious. So in terms of being a journalist, the negative feedback I always got in school, like when it was parent-teacher conference time, was Leslie won't stop talking. She's great. She's smart. She knows so many things. She can do whatever she wants, but like she's always like the chatty one in the classroom. And so eventually I realized that was something that I could turn into a career, in the sense that I talk to people every single day. I meet new people, more people than most people meet in, a year. I probably meet and engage with in a meaningful way in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Whether it's just like man on the street interviews, like what do you think about, tolls, or, more serious things, talking to people who have been victims of tragedy or some unfortunate circumstance or, change makers, whatever it is. And so from when I was little, I always knew I wanted to be able to talk to people in some kind of a way. I didn't know if I wanted to cover politics at all. I did that for a little while, realized maybe that wasn't like my end game. But yeah, it's always been on my radar. I think in DC, growing up there probably had something to do with it.
What did your parents do in DC?
So my dad, by training, is a lawyer.
Okay.
And he, speaking of politics, was actually involved in like local community stuff.
Yeah, it goes to what you were saying. Like everybody's
somewhere,
there's a connection somewhere. Yeah.
So he actually ran for city council when I was in, I think, the 4th grade or something. And so he's always been kind of involved in like neighborhood boards and different, folks campaigns, that kind of thing. He now owns a small business, so he's had a complete change in life that does shoe repair and leather care. It's like one day my dad's about to turn 70, and I think it's been about 10 years ago now. He was like, I'm going to do this. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, that is so funny. That's awesome.
Yeah. But,
and that's kind of like, going to like, I kind of consider politicians in a certain extent to be entrepreneurs, because anything that you have to do to brand yourself, like it's on you. You're not working for you're working for somebody, obviously, but it's up to you to brand yourself to increase your career. So it's kind of funny that he ended up doing what he ended up doing, and that you kind of have that same kind of desire as well. Like, so who knows? Maybe you'll take that over when you turn.
Maybe. I don't know. You got a little while, but if the business stays around, perhaps.
Right.
My mom, though, does something completely different. My mom works in food. She's retired now, but worked in food service when I was growing up. So she worked for different catering entities at different places. So a full-fledged departure from what my dad does and what most people in DC do. But then again, everybody eats. So
yeah, exactly, right.
You always need food.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then you attended St. John's, right? You went for journalism?
I did not.
Okay.
No. And that would be some advice that I would give to anyone who wants to become a journalist is you don't necessarily need that particular degree. It's not like being a lawyer or a doctor where you need this classroom training.
Time in the field might actually be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way you can only learn how to do this job from actually doing it. You know, like driver's ed is one thing, but like getting behind the wheel of a car and operating in traffic, that's how I like in journalism. Like the degree is cool, but you kind of only learn what your particular professors know, and especially the way that media has changed in the time just since I've been out of school the last decade or so. You know, there are pieces of media that didn't exist that now you have to think about. Like when I started school, no one was like, oh, you're going to have to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and in addition to doing your job as a reporter and finding a story.
And those people that are teaching those classes, they're still not people that knew that stuff. So it's really same thing with marketing. So, obviously we do the digital marketing out here. Same thing. Like the professors and what they're teaching, it's not what's out now.
Yeah.
So it's really tough in colleges. It takes them a while to move and to change stuff,
Yeah. So I interned at CNN the summer before my senior year, CNN in Washington, D.C., and I had planned to go to school, major in journalism, then go to grad school and get a grad degree or master's in journalism. And someone there was like, no. Go to school and major in something that you're interested in, and then you will learn the job from doing it. Do not pick up the debt of a graduate degree in this particular field because your first jobs will not pay you anything near what you need in order to service that. So I majored in, going back to DC, I majored in, at St. John's, it's called government and politics, but it's a political science degree. I minored in journalism just to kind of, keep a toe in the water and like take the classes and see. But yeah, my degree is in the government.
Did you always know that was what you wanted to do, like was be a reporter?
I was pretty clear on it. At first, my first thought was, I'm going to be a talk show host.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that too. I mean, it's like, I could totally see that.
That was what I wanted, because just the same thing, talking to people, interacting, and learning what they know. But then I realized, all right, there's 6 talk shows on that are successful at any given time. And usually those people have a background somewhere else before they ever get to the point of just being the name on the door and people tune into you for an hour. And so I realized that news was something I could do. And then I was lucky because in DC, the public school system has like a, not quite public access, but like they have a student-run television station, or at least they did at the time that I was in school. So I was able to do this job there as I was an anchor of a couple shows that we had. So when I was in the 11th and 12th grade, I was able to be on TV, and it was interesting because you got a taste of like what it's like to be on television, like people recognizing you, which is like good and bad. But it was,
right.
Particularly as like a 16, 17-year-old, people were like, oh, you're the girl on DC 28. And I'm like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I am.
Yeah, I can
How
imagine
do I manage
that being,
this? Yeah.
That's super cool though. That's really awesome. So if you did have a talk show, what type of talk show do you think that you would have? What did you envision happening when you were younger?
Just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a child of Oprah in my mind. So my grandmother, she used to watch Oprah every day, 4:00. That was like the thing. And after school, I would be with her. And, I liked how Oprah was able to evolve from, typical talk show stuff to eventually doing things that were like meant to help people live your best life was her whole thing. And
it wasn't that standard Phil Donahue stuff from
right.
back in the day.
Which might be like why eventually, Phil Donahue was the man, and then Oprah came along and things changed. And so I've always like thought about the idea of using television as a way to make people's lives better. And every day doesn't have to be some super serious, let's reflect on your soul and your spirit. But, there's a value in being able to reach an audience and help people. And so something like that, I think.
That's great. So I'm sorry, I know I kind of interrupted you there. So you were in Washington, you were getting seen on TV a lot, and then that's kind of when people first started to kind of recognize you, or where people were saying, "Hey, I know you," and that's definitely got to be strange.
Yeah, it was a weird thing, just because like you're so young and you don't know how to manage that, and you're still living the life of a regular, high school student in Washington D.C. I took the subway to school every day, and so I mean, it wasn't anything that was overwhelming.
No, but even just one person seeing you and saying something is like, and if it ever happens to me, I'm going to hug them. So I know that you were much younger, but for me, I'm 42, and if somebody's like, "Hey, is that Scott?" They might even have the wrong person, and I'm going to hug them probably. You know what I mean? I'll be like, "Yo, you noticed me." No, but I'll take it. All right, it's good. Like that guy the other day we were at the Push Against Cancer yesterday event, which was awesome. Somebody that we had on the show, Andrew Berman, raised $210,000 for Paul Newman's Hole in the Wall gang. Okay. And this guy came up to me and he was just like, "Hey, man, how are you?" Remember?
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. Same thing. It was pretty funny. So I was like, that guy must have been handsome, maybe a little little less gray in his beard, right? So tell us about St. John's. Did you have what? You know what I'd like to know? Would you have done things different with how technology has changed? You know what I mean? Like, would you have done? Because I know when you were in school and stuff like that, and you were, finishing up, they didn't have the accessibility that they have now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Would you have done things differently, or you still think you would have kind of went the same path?
I think I would have gone the same path, I think. But I think that, let's say I was in school now or 10 years later, I think that there's much more opportunity for like younger millennials, I'll say, to brand themselves and do those kinds of things. Because like I'll meet somebody who's like 17 years old and they've got 10,000 followers. I'm like, what do you even do? Like,
I know.
Like, what kind of it? Okay. What I mean? No, not to take anything away from them. If they want to teach me lessons, like I will take them. But I think that thinking about the fact that brand and having to create an identity from yourself independent of just, I'm the person who's on the news every day is something that perhaps I would have been thinking about. Obviously, it wasn't there for me to think about then, but as far as my career, I think I still would have done the same thing. I definitely would still be doing news. Like every few years, like you have a moment or you're like in a job that you don't necessarily like. And it's like, I can't stand this. But I always think to myself, what would I do if I walked down the street and saw a reporter standing there, live from the scene, whatever. I still feel like I would have sadness and regret and grief if it were not me. I love the job, and I think it's just one of those things where every few years it's going to change. It's going to become a new thing, and I'm prepared to do that.
That's great. That's awesome.
So I have a friend I grew up with in high school who is going to school, and I think she's majoring in journalism. She wants to be a reporter, and she's out there in the field like doing her reports for her school. And what I notice a lot is that like people will come up and try to interfere in a variety of different ways with the report. So, I mean, that's one aspect of it. And then the other is, I mean, you got to talk to people on the scene who are either dealing with, whether it's a tragedy or if it's not a tragedy, if it's just reporting, a tree fell on a power line. How important are like interpersonal skills for a reporter? Being a people person, being able to manage those situations, how important is that?
I think it's the most important part of this job because there is nothing you can learn in a classroom about how to compel someone whose child has just been murdered to speak to you. And I can't tell you how many times it's like a balancing act of, all right, I know I have to go on the news at time certain every night, and I would like to go on with something other than just the facts from the police and me standing in front of a camera here, look at this police tape, but then there's that balance of this woman is having a horrible moment in her life. Do I want to be that person, like with my microphone? But sometimes, you find if you just talk to people, not as a reporter, I'm just a concerned human being. This thing has just happened to you. How do you feel? And you'll find sometimes that if people are comfortable with you, they'll talk with you. There have been times when people will talk to me and won't talk to the other reporters from the other stations just because of something I said or didn't say.
I think it's how you come across. Like when you're not just trying to make it seem like you're doing your job, and you're not, when you act like a human being to them and you show them compassion and you are there, you know what I mean? I think there's a skill. It's a fine line to walk. So, and I think that you, from what I could see, you definitely come across as that. That's probably the reason why you get a lot of those interviews. And
Conversely, though, sometimes there are people who will have a feeling about who I work for that maybe is not necessarily based in any kind of fact. And they're like, I don't want to talk to you guys.
Especially nowadays, you're probably getting more and more of that. Definitely.
The fake news thing is like, it's become problematic even, at our level, like on the local level. You hear people sometimes who have these preconceived notions about the news. I was called fake news once while I was reporting on the snow.
Oh, wow.
Like literally a snowstorm. I was trying to interview a guy and just about the fact that it was snowing. Like we were in continuous coverage. How do you feel about, the fact that it's snowing? He's like, you mean the fake snow? And I'm like, huh? And then he repeated himself, and then I realized, I was like, you're one of those. You don't want to hear my feelings on it. And I'm just like, how did we get to this place?
Was it a live interview?
It was going to be live.
So they can sometimes,
So somebody else was going live, and they called, like, hey, Leslie, we need you. I was down in Milford, and it was just about the fact that it was snowing. How do you feel? School's closed today. It might be closed tomorrow, that kind of a thing. We haven't had that much snow this past winter. What are your feelings? And he was was just not having it. And I mean, that happens often where
Yeah.
people will tell me, don't lie, tell the truth. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm a local reporter in Connecticut. Like, I am so detached.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah, but
You
the skills,
always-
they matter in that moment also. Just managing like, oh, okay, I understand who I'm talking to now, and just knowing when to back away.
Because you don't always think of like report, but as a reporter, like you have to have like a bedside manner. That you know what I mean, like just working with people and getting information. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to get the most truthful, accurate information from someone as possible, and navigating that is tough. And then my next question would be like, so sort of we already spoke about it a little bit, but like navigating that on social media, like how do you think? I almost feel like it started with when Trump came in, the Trump administration, but like how has navigating social media as a reporter changed since when you first got into the industry to now? Like how much different is it? Like
It's really, I mean, in terms of what's negative on social media, I would say 5 years ago, what I saw more of was just somebody who would occasionally have something nasty to say about your outfit or your hair, or, oh, I don't like the way you speak, that kind of thing. But now, I would say there is a legitimate challenge to the facts, and this definition of what is true and not is a problem. And so sometimes you'll post something on social media and as a journalist, like rule number one, I will never publicly share my personal opinions.
Yep.
And I have many of them.
Yeah. Yep.
You won't
That's
ever.
for your talk show down the road.
Right, that's for one day later. That's
They're gonna get it. You're making notes.
that's for dinner with the family. But I'll never share my opinion. But if something happens, it happens, and we'll post that. And I can't tell you how many times someone will have a direct challenge to what has occurred just because they don't like it. Going back to that fake news thing, you've got these accounts that exist. I'm convinced they are just trolls, and I don't know if they're being paid by someone or if they're just like some weirdo in a basement or whatever, but it's like you post about certain things and you're immediately hearing from these voices. I've never seen this individual on my post, on any social media platform that I have ever, but the next thing here they are telling me, you're lying, you're an agent of someone. The other day I had someone who said I was being paid a lot of money specifically to mislead Black people about the president. And I'm like, are you joking? Like,
wow.
I mean, so that happens, and I can't
so
imagine.
Many conspiracy theories now. It's like, and it's just, what happened was this. These people, like, they have a voice now. As to where they're not going to, most of them are not going to say these things in public.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, so they, we always envision them being in their basement. Right? So, and it's just like they have a voice now, and, it seems to be building and building and building and building, and then obviously Trump comes on, and that gives them even more, more confidence about it.
Also, like anybody can be a reporter now in the sense that they can go somewhere with their iPhone and get footage of whatever and just put their opinion up there. You know
there
what I mean?
are so many platforms now where people can be writers and hosts. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I think more communication, more conversation is a good thing. But I think that often it's important for the general public to recognize who they're getting their news and their information from. Because I can't tell you how many times somebody has said something to me and I'm like, oh, well, that's something I know isn't true. Yeah. Where'd you read that? Oh, Facebook. Okay, well, who put it there? Facebook is not a news source. Like, was it the New York Times or was it NBC or ABC? Just Facebook, and eventually you'll get to the bottom, and it's like some, far one direction or the other platform that I'm like, this is not news. This is opinion.
You know what I call that? I call that irresponsible sharing. That's what I call it. So it's like, if you're going to share something and you're going to put your name to it, don't you want to at least know, like, okay, if it's from a reputable news source, maybe you just click share. But like some of those wonky ones that are just, the headline just seems crazy. It's like people are just so fast to just spread that.
Yeah.
And like I've done it with family members where it's like, I've looked everywhere and I can't find this story. So I don't think that it exists. And look at the source that you're using. Like, just look it up before you go and share it, because that's what spreads all this crazy stuff. But that's not going to stop happening. That's going to continue to happen. I think it's going to actually probably get much worse. But that
unfollow button is huge for me. That unfollow button is like, I'm such a big fan.
So you started with Time Warner and New York One.
Mm-hmm.
how old were you when you started there?
Right out of college. Well, actually, I was an intern there in my last semester of college. So
Okay.
I was 21. And I worked there as an intern. I actually interned with the health reporter.
Oh, okay.
Which was a great thing because at New York One, they were all one-man bands, we call them, or multimedia journalists. But the reporter is also their own photographer. So when they go to a story, they work by themselves, which is something that is kind of rare in New York City, but across the country, especially in the smaller markets, we call them, you see a lot of them.
Do they have to drive the van home and everything?
So they don't necessarily. They usually
it's a commute vehicle. Like, what's up with that?
Some of them do. They're usually just in a regular marked like sedan.
Yeah, because
or
equipment now is so they don't
everything's
need
really
that
small.
big satellite and stuff.
Yeah, but I worked there with the health reporter, who was really great in terms of just showing me the ropes, and it's kind of atypical to start your career in New York City. But I was able to do that because after I finished the internship, they have something there called a news assistant. So technically I was a photographer. I was the news person, like behind the camera. I would go out to different stories all day. There would be some days where I would see all 5 boroughs of New York City in one day.
That's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, it's a lot of traffic, a lot of just different kinds of people, a lot of like angry folks sometimes.
Oh, I imagine.
A lot of angry me sometimes.
Yeah, right.
behind the camera. But it was fun in that I learned a lot about how to do the job. And I wasn't necessarily doing the job that I wanted in terms of being the reporter, but
You were honing in on your skills.
I was honing the skills, and I feel like I got really good at it, and there's no better place to do this work than New York City because you'll literally see some of everything, like I said, in the course of one day, all 5 boroughs. You're reporting on a ribbon cutting, a murder, a fire, a big donation, a little kid who did something magical at school,
Did you have a mentor when you were there? Did you have anybody that like kind of really took you under the
I think it was a team of folks who really were very helpful to me. That reporter that I worked with, her name was Kafit Drexel. There's a woman there she's no longer there, but there's a woman who's still there now. She's their 10 o'clock anchor. Her name is Cheryl Wills, was always very, very helpful, continues to this day.
Yeah, that's great.
To be just a source of inspiration for me and folks to look to. And throughout my career, I think there's always been kind of one person I've connected with in the newsroom or just in the industry in general. I follow a lot of other women journalists who I've never met, but we all follow each other by virtue of having the same job in whatever city or state that we're in. And
who are some of them that you really kind of look up to? Obviously, Oprah.
Oprah is one.
Oprah is one.
Tamron Hall is someone who I've been a very big fan of, both when she was at MSNBC, then eventually she was on the Today Show, and now she's preparing to have her own talk show. Look at that.
Yep. Yeah.
Her own talk show. New mom, later in life, something that I think a lot of people find exciting and really interesting, and just kind of changing the way that people view women in this business. She has been just a light and someone that I've always looked to. She's also very stylish. So
yeah, yep. No, that's cool.
It's nice.
That always has a nice little right. That's
to
cool.
see somebody on the news who's not with the anchor hair and the typical kind of just single color outfit,
shoulder pads.
And right.
We're
a little past the shoulder pads, but once upon a time, that was the thing. We always say, like in the movies, it's like, oh, she's like looks like the actress cast in the role of reporter because it's like there's that one kind of hair.
Yep.
Yeah. Tamron's a big one though for me.
That's awesome. So you went from there right to NBC Connecticut, or was there a stop in between?
I did a lot of things. So I was at New York One in different roles for a little bit. Then at the time it was Time Warner Cable that owned them. They opened a Washington bureau. So that was what got me to DC to cover politics. I was the Washington bureau producer, but it was more of a field job. Like I wasn't like putting together shows. I was out doing interviews, basically an off-air reporter. So we had stations in New York, North Carolina, and Texas. So I went and I would talk to the lawmakers from those, members of Congress, senators from those places to do stories of interest for people in our markets, but from Washington. So I did that for about 2 years. And then I got my first on-air job. I finally made the jump in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
And I was there for 2 years. We work in contracts, so my contract was 2 years. I knew I wanted to get back north. And then that's when NBC Connecticut came along 4.5 years ago.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And obviously, how do you like living in Connecticut besides the taxes? How do you like it?
I mean, that's the thing that I hear probably the most is the biggest complaint from everyone I ever talk to, no matter who they are. Is the
taxes. Now you're hearing tolls.
Right, and the tolls, and everyone's like, what's going on with that? What's the latest?
Yeah.
But the taxes are the biggest thing. It's different for me. I grew up in DC, lived in New York for a long time. So this is the most non-city, non-metropolitan place that I've lived, which has been interesting. But I think it's it's a unique thing. All of the town, I think it's a gift and a curse. Like the town-based government in Connecticut, I find interesting in some ways. I think sometimes it lends itself to redundancy, but it's amazing to me how you can go 2 miles over and feel like you're in a very different place, you know?
Right.
And we cover the whole state, so I see a little bit of everything, you know? So it's like, what's the difference between Hartford and West Hartford? Well, it's very different, you know? Or what's the difference between Bridgeport and, you know, Stamford, just a little ways down the, you know, road? There's a big difference. So I've enjoyed learning about all of the different things that are here. And I also think that Connecticut is very different from how most people in America view the state, because when I told people I was moving to Connecticut, everyone just thought they think the whole state is like Greenwich. Or
I know. That's what's funny. That's what I think is funny too. They're like, oh, Connecticut.
Right.
It's like, well, it's not really. It's becoming at one point. I think it was that, and that's the reason why, right? Like, but that's shrinking and shrinking. You know
it's
what I
really
mean?
just
Like,
one small part of the whole state. The rest, you know what I mean?
Well, Fairfield County is one of the most expensive counties in
the
America,
US,
and like, but you know, we're running businesses out of here at a very fast pace.
I
you know
hear
what I mean?
people,
So-
you know, we report on some of the companies that have left, and I think that that's an unfortunate thing. So I think that's one thing that, you know, I would be interested in seeing what the state as a whole is doing to try to keep companies, but also just individuals, and particularly young people who come here, trying to keep them here, because I think that a lot of folks see Connecticut as a stepping stone. And I think we should really stop branding the state as, oh, we're right in between Boston and New York. Because I've never lived anywhere else that sells itself on its proximity to some other place.
Some other place.
You know?
Yeah, right.
Like Baltimore was never like, oh, we're really close to DC, you know? Like, we're our own thing. And I think that that's something that maybe does not do a disservice, because then you have, or does a disservice, because then you have people looking the other way to these other places that are already, you know, doing well on their own. New York is not mentioning Connecticut. Boston or, you know, Massachusetts is not mentioning Connecticut. So I have an issue with that.
It's funny because I've heard that been said a few times. Like we're like, oh, we're right in Connecticut. We're in New Haven. New Haven is the area where they like to say it a lot because you can jump on
Metro
95
North.
either way, like so, or the train either way. So it's like it's really funny. But so I'm sure you've had some really, really strange moments being a reporter.
Yeah.
So what is one of the kind of the weirdest or funniest or, you know, thing that's kind of happened to you out there?
Funniest?
Yeah. Or even strangest, something weird that's kind of happened. Because I know,
Something
like,
memorable.
you always see these guys, like, especially in the New York ones during the snowstorms, where people just come and yell things when they're live, and it's just horrible. It's just like, I feel so bad for these people because you have to stay professional. You have to keep that poker face on when you want to smack these young kids that say something crazy.
That happened. I've been very lucky in that I've been doing this job for years and have been able to avoid having people crash my live shots, as we say. But I did have recently this guy. I was in Hartford. I don't even remember what the story was. It was Robert Kraft, actually, is what we were talking about. So we went to downtown Hartford just because that was a place where there'd be a lot of people. We could get reaction about everything that was going on with him right after the charges came out.
That's got to be a tricky subject, too, though, when you're talking to somebody that's like, you never know what could be said there.
You never know. That's why we don't do the interviews live, typically.
That's for the best.
But just as I was, we'd been out there, I was live, I think, in the 5 and the 6 p.m. shows. And right as we're getting ready to do my live shot, I'm standing on the sidewalk and I see somebody coming. I'm right next to traffic, but I'm on the sidewalk and I see somebody coming and I'm like, are they really going to come over here? No, they're going to go behind me or they're going to go. And it was literally in the moment that they said, Leslie is live. Leslie, what can you tell us? And here comes the guy calling me a queen, like all in the camera. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Really, sir? You know?
Wow.
And it was bad. And, you know, and we're trained.
He timed that thing good.
And there was no way he could have known. It's just the way that it happened. And he jumped in saying that. And so we just had to, you know, just, hey guys, just play the story. I couldn't say my intro because it was like, I don't know what else he might say.
Yeah, right.
So that was frustrating. Don't ever do that. Like when you see the news, just go. Yeah. Because it's like I spend my whole day working to present this story, and now a part of it I can't do because, you know, you've shown up. As far as weird things, it's always strange. We ride in marked vehicles here in Connecticut, so they're very branded. You know, they say NBC, they got the Peacock, First Alert Weather.
People try to hound you
there.
down and be like, hey, I got a good story for you.
If we're parked somewhere, and my office is a car, so most days I go to my story, and then when I'm reporting, I'm sitting in the car typing, I'm doing my story. People always come up to the window, and sometimes you get good information, or there have been times people pointed me in the the right directions. And other days, people will hand you like a manifesto of like,
Yeah.
here's my problem, here's how they're trying to get me. You
Oh
know,
my gosh.
that's always interesting. But the weirdest thing I will say is being in those marked vehicles and on the road, people will like try to like signal us or wave in traffic. I mean, this is dangerous, guys.
Or I'll try to interview you.
Yeah, drivers taking my picture and stuff, and I'm like, this is not safe.
It's kind of funny that you say this because we did a podcast on Friday in Manhattan, and we were leaving, and the traffic in New York on Friday was one of the worst. It was like
terrible.
these people were acting like it was the first really, really good beach weekend or something. Seriously, people.
Everybody's
like,
on the
just
move.
stay home and mow the lawn like I am. So there was just traffic everywhere. So we're just stop and go, and we've got a little Mack Talks microphone. So I say to Chase, I'm like, interview those people next to us and ask them how long it is till they get home. So he's like, sir, how long it is? So we're actually doing what you were saying.
Yeah, we've actually done that, so
but it
we're
was
guilty.
really slow traffic.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, it
Really
was bumper to bumper traffic, and there was
I
this
think it was
nice
okay.
Italian family next to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, "How long?"
They
is
were
this
laughing.
gonna be?
They thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, we've got rules against that kind of thing at NBC Universal. I'm not allowed to do an interview. From a moving
As you're
vehicle.
moving, right?
Probably for the best.
Yeah, but
Oh man, that's funny.
yeah, but
So,
the people waving, that's the thing.
I mean, I have two more questions
Go ahead.
for you. One is for you, Scott. Actually, I'm
wow.
not going to ask you the question. I'm going to ask her the question. The answer's for you. What is your trick to or not trick, but what makes you confident, or what helps when you go to do public speaking or a report, or if you're going to go report on something, what are your kind of tricks that you use to do a good job?
I think knowing the story is the most important thing. Public speaking and reporting are two very different things, because when I report every night, my audience is my photographer. Like, I understand, intellectually that there are hundreds of thousands of people who have the ability to watch me. But in terms of who's actually right there, it's me, the photographer, and a lens that I'm looking at.
Yeah, so that's what you think.
Versus giving a speech where, I can see people and, oh, she's not paying attention, or, oh, this one's on their phone, or, you're worried about, what does that face mean? Are you connecting with me? So when I have to do that, I try to take the same approach of, all right, even though there's 50 people, 100 people, 500 people, knowing what I'm talking about and just delivering it as if no one is there, or it's just the photographer and the lens, is the most important thing I had to learn early on, to try to get away from lines and remembering how to, trying to recite anything, because the minute you do that, it becomes not natural, and that becomes very hard. And even now today, if I try to say something verbatim from the way that I wrote it in the script, that'll be the time that I mess up on television.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, see? So
I have a speech tomorrow.
Yeah.
okay.
That's why he asked you that question.
Yeah, because I was thinking, is there any? I've been trying to help him because I took some public speaking classes, and I did a little bit of it in high school and in college. So I was like, trying to give him as much info as he can walking into that. But then my next question is, so what are a few tips for somebody who is looking to get started in reporting? Just 2 or 3 things that you would say are the most helpful for somebody who's just getting started?
The biggest things are, if you're in college or getting ready to go to college, internships are everything in this business. And more I'm seeing the interns who come in and they've got a full resume before they have ever applied. It's like, oh, I work at my station, at my school. I intern during the school year at the local stations in the market where I go to school. That's the biggest thing, just demonstrating that you have an interest in it, because this is a job that you really got to want to do. There is so little glamour and glory.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
work 8-10 hours a day. I'm on TV for 3 minutes
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
So if you only want to be on TV, or go be an actress or something,
Yeah.
or an actor, don't do this. So you got to really want it and intern. If you can find paid internships, I would say do
God
that.
bless. If
Yeah,
not,
right.
you better knock out the free ones.
Right. Knock out the free ones if you have to. But if you can find ones that will pay you, get paid. Because in the early days of this work, there is no money.
Yeah.
No money. I do fine now, but there are people I know in our first jobs out of college were making $19,000 a year, 20 full-time jobs, working with a college degree on television, delivering the news to some community. The money just is not there. So intern wherever, save your money, get money wherever you can get it. And then also, I think the other thing is now using media embrace that. You can be a reporter, as we talked about, without necessarily
You can create your own channel.
working at a station. You can create a blog or a vlog. You can have a podcast if you want. You can do things to demonstrate your interest. You can go out if you see news happening somewhere. You can use your iPhone or whatever your smartphone is and get the story that way. Every once in a while, I'll be somewhere, something happens, the photographer went to the bathroom or isn't standing next to me, I take out my phone, I record it, makes it onto TV. So embrace technology and demonstrate an interest in the job. And then the last thing I would say, I guess that's more than 3, sorry, but the last thing is just be willing to do the job wherever it takes you. So in a few years, I've lived in 4 different cities.
Wow.
You know, I left New York on a full-time basis in 2011 to move to Charlotte, to then move here. And before that, I had been in DC. And, you know, you move around a lot. I know people who have been from the smallest, most remote places until they got to New York or Chicago or here in Hartford or wherever they wanted to end up. So you got to be willing to put in the work and put in the time. Like, this is the true definition of paying your dues, the television news business. You got to just go where it takes you.
Yep. Now, do you have a family?
I am getting married.
Okay, great. So you're engaged, you're getting married.
I'm engaged, yeah. So I guess that's the beginning of building my own family.
Nice.
But yeah, no children or anything like that. I have a cat.
Yeah.
I'm a cat mother.
Yeah, right? That's cool. That's cool. All right, well, now we're going to go into the segment of our show where we do Mack Move or Whack Move. So this guy over here, Carlos, our producer, say hello, Carlos.
Hey, everybody.
So he's going to read us a couple. We just run through it quickly, and then we have our little sign right here.
Okay.
So you Mack Move on one side, and it's Whack Move on the other. All right. So it's nothing that'll get you in trouble. It's all good, clean stuff. So
Sky's very proud of the sign.
yeah, I love the sign. That one is for you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So
The first topic is a very straightforward one. 90s hair trends are coming back. So big top scrunchies, side ponies, big hair clips. Mack Move or Whack Move?
I'm going to go Mack Move on that one because I love how trends always make their way back, and I can't wait to see Chase in a mullet.
Yeah.
I'm saying Whack Move to
All
that.
right.
Like, the side pony, you will never see me on television with a side ponytail. Never. No.
Nice. Chase?
All right, I'm gonna go Mack Move because brings back a little bit of nostalgia from when I was younger.
Younger?
You know, no, because when you know
You're
how you have
23,
your,
bro.
No, but you know how you have your like childhood crushes, right? From like Saved by the Bell, or whatever, and then you see them, and that's me. So that's the '90s for me.
He's saying Mack Move because he looks like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. Tell the truth. Come on.
You do have the hair.
He's got it. He's got
Zach
it.
Morris.
He's got it. All right. What else? Next one.
Next one, Ed Sheeran is getting a big promotional deal. He's making EdChup. He's promoting Ed Sheeran ketchup with Heinz.
So Heinz is producing its own brand of Ed Sheeran.
Its own
ketchup.
brand of Ed Sheeran
I'm going
ketchup.
Whack Move. How much money do you possibly need? Like, seriously, this comes down to selling out. I get it that he's red, so it makes sense. I get that he's red. He's a ginger, so it kind of makes sense. But I'm going Whack Move. I think he can make enough money. He doesn't need this. Unless he's donating it to charity, then I would go Mack Move. But I don't think that's what's happening. So
He
I'm
has a
going Whack
Heinz
Move.
ketchup tattoo.
Oh,
Yeah.
this guy is hardcore about
He's
his
hardcore.
ketchup, huh?
I mean, I'm going to say Whack Move to that also, just
Okay.
because, I mean, whatever. Make your money. Do what you do. But I don't know that I would ever consume a branded ketchup. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
it's kind of
fine,
weird, right?
you
I've
know?
never heard of it. Really.
Yeah. Does it have special
Maybe
ingredients?
Paul Newman's though. Paul Newman brands his stuff.
Yeah, but that was for charity. If he was doing all the proceeds for charity, I think we'd all say Mack Move, right?
Yeah.
If it was Ed Sheeran's kinds. So I'm going to say Whack Move, like you guys, for all the reasons you just said. I think, and I also just think that, like, what a terrible collaboration. Like between a pop star and ketchup. Like, I don't,
it's a reach, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But
It's
now
a
it'll be
reach.
the
It's a
most
reach.
successful ketchup like ever, just because we've said that.
yeah, because it's on the
Everyone
Mack
will buy
Talks.
it.
Hello.
He's laughing to the bank.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Whatever.
Number
Awesome.
3.
Number 3, Bumble, the dating app, is opening up a wine bar in New York City.
Okay.
So a physical place for people to go. And they're going to have date-friendly food. So, easy to eat, not messy stuff.
I'm gonna go Mack Move, just because I think it's cool to be able to bring people out so they can meet each other. You know what I mean? Versus just swiping left and right. I think this is more of an interaction type of thing. So I think it's cool. So I'm going Mack Move.
I'm with you on that one. Mack Move, I say that there's not enough interpersonal interacting with folks our age. I think people who are on the apps and stuff, I think there needs to be more of that coming together and not just swiping. Like, you got to actually connect with that person if the goal is to make a true match. I think it's great.
Bumble's going to bring it back. They're going to bring back the old way of dating.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mack Move as well. I think that this is a great move because they already had a brand built out with Bumble, and then go to the biggest city, one of the biggest cities in the world, New York City, and you put a restaurant there under the same brand. Like, it's a great financial move, it's a great branding move, and also, like you said, it's bringing people out in public to meet with each other, which is always great, not just messaging each other
So much
online.
harder to catfish somebody when you're in public.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, your mustache doesn't stay on right, or you know what I mean? Like, your fake eyebrows are there. So, all right, go ahead. What do you got next?
Ben & Jerry's is entering the CBD trend. They're making Ben & Jerry's CBD ice cream is in the works.
Okay, so this one is a little bit tricky for me because anybody that knows me knows that I fully support CBD products, because I do. And I fully support medical marijuana and possibly recreational. I'm not sure where I'm at on that yet. But I have an issue. I'm going to go whack move, and here's why. And I know a lot of people are going to be upset with me about this, but here's what I'm saying. This is in a gas station, and little Jimmy goes in there to buy it. Are we really expecting the person at the gas station to know this fruity color from the next fruity color, and this has CBD in it and this one doesn't? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I like the idea of it. I like that they're getting on the green rush train. I'm down with that. I really like that. Like, because if you're not jumping on the green rush train right now, you're missing out. Everybody's jumping on it. So, but yeah, I'm just a little nervous. Like, and I know that CBD isn't that bad, but like, Jimmy shouldn't crush a thing of like CBD ice cream and then fall asleep. He should be outside playing. So I don't want to tire the kids out. So go ahead. What do you got?
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if it's Mack, whack. I'm in between on it just because
you
I
hold it
wonder.
sideways like that when-
There you go.
That's the first
in the middle.
in between.
Yeah, that was the first one ever. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the whole marijuana CBD thing. It's got like a little controversy to it. But then I just wondered, just from a culinary standpoint, how effective any kind of additive could be in ice cream. Like, how much they would have to put in there to cause problems for little Jimmy, Bobby, Billy, or whoever. And I would hope that if it is enough to be potent, that there would be some sort of regulation on it, like beer or anything else that you might be able to buy at the gas station. But yeah, I don't know. I think I am intrigued by how quickly CBD has become a
it's
thing,
unbelievable.
and it's everywhere.
Nobody even knew what CBD was like 3 years ago. You'd be like, CBD, they'd be like, what?
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Now
But
it's
that's how it
everywhere.
works. And that's how it works nowadays. You blink and it's something completely different. Chase?
I totally get why. I mean, I'm indifferent. I mean, I'm in between on this as well. So I'm not really sure. Like, I feel like this hasn't been well thought out. Like, I feel like this industry, the CBD market, hasn't fully played out its hand yet. So I'm not really sure like what direction it's going in. Like, I think it's a Mack move all the way, in the sense, like, go ahead, make CBD ice cream, do it. Like, just don't. But then also, I don't. That's the whole argument with kids having access to it, and how are they going to know, that that's CBD ice cream or it could be Chunky Monkey. You know what I mean? So I think I'm actually going to go. You know what? I'm going to say whack move for now until more evidence comes in.
Gotcha.
Just let me know when they got some CBD scrapple. Seriously. Let me know when they got that CBD scrapple. My Amish people, they make that organic CBD scrapple down there. All right, we got? One more?
The last one, the sharing economy is getting just a little bit bigger. IKEA is going to start rentals. So you can rent furniture and things.
This is a whack move. Like, buy your furniture. Buy your furniture. Why is everything becoming subscription based?
Yeah.
Seriously, buy your furniture. Whack move.
I am the exact opposite.
Oh.
I Mack move
Switch it
all
out.
the way.
Yeah.
Switch it out.
I am the queen of the sharing economy. I do at Uber Eats. I just did Instacart the other day, Rent the Runway, which is like for clothes.
Yep.
I do all those things. So I don't know that I would necessarily rent a couch, perhaps, but maybe if I needed just like some chairs for a party,
That's
or
true.
folks are, I'm in this place for a year as a graduate student or something.
You move a lot. You move a lot. So
you know.
it's, for you, I get it.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not going nowhere. I'm staying at my house for 80 years. I'm old man Johnson, so watch my programs in my house. That's what I do.
I'm gonna go Mac move. I mean, anything that makes life more convenient, or easier, or more affordable for people, like, and it's not hurting anybody. Like, I love it. I'm all about it too.
You're a young kid. You're staining stuff, so you're like, oh, run it back. Bring you another one in.
I'm all about it.
You're getting your Ed Sheeran ketchup stains on there and then having them replace it. That's what you're doing. So, well, all right, that's it, right, Carlos?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, so that's the end of the Mac or Whack move, and thank you so much for joining us. We really, really enjoyed you coming on. You're the first guest that we did the Mac move, Whack move with.
Okay.
Usually we do it amongst ourselves, but we wanted to incorporate the guest into it, and it was awesome. We had a blast.
Well, thank you for having me. It was so fun.
Chase is going to go ahead and close us out and give some of your handles and our handles and everything like that.
All right, so thanks for listening, everybody. If you're looking to learn more about Leslie Mays, you can visit her website, lesliemays.com, her Instagram and Twitter @LeslieMaysTV, or her Facebook. Just search Leslie Mays. Leslie, thanks so much for coming by. It was awesome having you.
Thank you.
Please leave us a review on iTunes. Every review makes a big difference in supporting the show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. Also, follow us on Instagram. That's @Mack Talks, MACK Talks. If you want to find out more about the Mack Talks, how to listen, watch, and subscribe, you can visit our website, www.themacktalks.com.
All right.
That's it.
Leslie, thank you.
Thank you.
Can't wait to follow your career and see where you're going.
So fun.
And,
Thank
and
you.
hit us up when you're ready to do that show. I got some ideas.
For sure. Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you. Next time.